Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're zooming in on a place that is, well, quietly extraordinary. We're talking about a district literally defined by its paradoxes. Balrampur, also known as the sacred Terai of Shakti and sugar.
Okay, let's dive right into our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the geography of the Terai, footprints of the Buddha, royalty and sacred shrines, India's sugar capital, the modern demographic divide, and finally, a legacy of letters.
Section 1. Geography of the Terai, the Himalayan foothills. So to really get Balrampur, you've got to know exactly where it sits on the map. It's right up against the international border with Nepal, with the stunning Shivalik ranges right in its backyard. This whole area is what we call the Terai region. Basically, it means these forested, super moisture-rich districts pushed right up against the Himalayan foothills. For Balrampur specifically, a solid 16.05% of its total area is just lush forest, and it's all fed by the West Rapti River, which, brings life to the region, but also brings the massive headache of seasonal flooding.
Now you might be wondering, how did this district actually get its name? Well, history gives us three competing legends here. Legend number 1 traces it back to 1508, saying it was named after Balaram Shah, the son of a local king. The second one points to 1357, claiming a descendant of a guy associated with Faraz Shah Tughlaq founded it. And the third, which is the official district account, says the estate was founded by Balaram Das around 1600 CE. But look, here's the main takeaway. No matter which origin story you buy into, they all agree that this region was historically the seat of the incredibly powerful Balrampur Talukdari.
Let's do a really quick march through time here to see how the district evolved. We start way back when this area was part of the ancient Kosala kingdom near its capital Savatthi. Then we hit the medieval Tughlaq era in the 1350s, move to the founding of the Great Estate in the 1600s, and then boom, the British annexation in February 1856. Skipping ahead to modern times, Balrampur was finally carved out of the neighboring Gonda district to become its own totally independent district in 1997.
Section 2. Footprints of the Buddha, ancient Uttara Kosala.
Guys, the history here is just incredibly profound. Just outside Balrampur town, you've got the archaeological sites of Sahet and Mahit. Ancient 6th century accounts from Chinese pilgrim monks identified these as the ancient city of Savatthi and the Jetavana monastery. And get this, it was right here that Gautam Buddha himself spent 21 rainy seasons meditating. He sat under a sacred peepal tree that's actually believed to have grown from a sapling taken directly from the original Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya. This wasn't just a quick pit stop, it was a major base for his teachings. They've found monastery inscriptions here dating back to the 12th century, and the site was such a big deal that Emperor Ashoka the Great actually made a pilgrimage here.
The nearby Shravasti forest also carries some heavy mythological weight. This is where the infamous story of Angulimala took place. If you don't know the story, Angulimala was this notoriously cruel dacoit, basically a bandit, who would kill people and literally wear a horrifying garland made out of their fingers. No joke. It was in these very forests that Gautam Buddha confronted him, met his violence with total peace, and actually enlightened him. It honestly remains one of Buddhism's most powerful stories of absolute transformation.
Section 3. Royalty and sacred shrines, Awadh's largest estate.
Okay, shifting gears from Buddhist history to the district's massive Hindu heritage. During the Mughal era, Balrampur was actually the seat of the largest Talukdari estate in all of Awadh. Today, it's home to the Peshwari Devi Temple, which is a highly revered Shakta Pitha. It was established by Guru Gorakhnath and later renovated by King Suhildeo in the 11th century. Right next door is the Surya Kund, a sacred pool that legend says was created by Karna from the Mahabharata for his father, the sun god. But here is the really fascinating part. Every single year, the deity of Pir Ratan Nath is brought all the way from Dong in Nepal just to be worshipped here alongside the Devi. It's a beautiful testament to the cross-border religious connection this shrine has for millions of Hindu pilgrims in both India and Nepal.
And the rulers of this huge estate, the Janwar Rajput clan, didn't just sit around collecting taxes. They actively built up the modern district. The Balrampur royal family left an incredible educational legacy. They built the oldest inter-college in the town back in 1883, and then, in 1955, the Maharaja literally donated the campus and buildings of his own city palace to establish the Maharani Lal Kunwari Postgraduate College. They quite literally turned their palace into a place of learning. How cool is that?
Section 4. India's sugar capital, the industrial giant.
All right, let's pivot to the modern economy, because the sheer industrial scale of this Terai region is staggering. Balrampur is home to Balrampur Chini Mills, or BCM. And we're not talking about some small local factory here. It is the absolute largest sugar production unit in all of India. On top of that, it's one of the country's top ethanol producers, owned and managed by Padma Shri Meenakshi Sarawagi. This colossal infrastructure really anchors the local economy, running in tandem with the region's massive agricultural output of sugarcane, wheat, and rice.
But I want to slow down for just a second here. 0.8 hectares. Why am I bringing this up? Because despite having the biggest sugar mill in the country, this district is dealing with some serious agrarian distress. The average farmer here is working with highly fragmented land holdings, averaging less than 0.8 hectares per farmer. So when you combine tiny plots of land with limited irrigation and a huge reliance on an unpredictable monsoon, it leads to this chronic, seasonal underemployment. Which brings us to a really tough but necessary question. With the largest sugar mill in India and a history as the wealthiest royal estate in Awadh, why is Balrampur struggling so much today? It's a huge paradox, right? Well, to figure that out, we have to take a hard look at the district's demographic realities. Section 5. The modern demographic divide, the sobering reality. If we look objectively at the 2011 census data, it really sheds light on these hurdles. At the time, the national literacy average was around 73%, but over in Balrampur, male literacy was just under 60%, and female literacy was sitting at a really shocking 38.43%. That is a stark 21-point gender gap. And that disparity isn't just some data point on a chart. It reflects deep-rooted social barriers like early marriage and severely limited access to education, especially in a district where over 92% of people live in rural areas. Here are just a few more facts to round out the district's profile. Out of a total 2011 population of over 2.1 million, again, over 92% is rural. It's designated as a minority-concentrated district, and back in 2006, it was officially listed as one of India's 250 most backward districts, meaning it receives funds from the Backward Regions Grant Fund. So the crucial takeaway here is this. When we look at Balrampur, we kind of have to hold two truths at the exact same time. We have to balance its incredibly rich, royal, and spiritual past with this very stark, modern reality of agrarian and educational distress. Section 6. A legacy of letters, literary giants of the Terai. Now, we definitely aren't going to end on a heavy note today, because out of this complex, often challenging landscape, we've seen some truly brilliant art and unforgettable voices emerge. First up is Ali Sardar Jaffrey, born right here in 1913. He was a Marxist Urdu poet and a massive figure in the progressive writers movement. His work was so impactful that in 1997 he won the Jnanpith Award. To put that into perspective for you, he is one of only 4 Urdu poets in history to ever receive that prestigious honor. And right below him, we have Bekal Utsahi, a highly celebrated poet and former Rajya Sabha MP who was awarded the Padma Shri in 1976 for his massive contributions to literature. But it's not just about these individual giants. The everyday culture of Balrampur is just steeped in poetry. The language spoken here is this beautiful, unique blend of Hindi, Urdu, and Awadhi. And you can hear that blend perfectly in something called birha. It's this vibrant Bhojpuri narrative folk music style where singers use a sarangi and a dholak, belting out improvised verses that recount local histories, epic loves, and heartbreak. It's truly something special. So Balrampur is a place of profound stories. From the ancient enlightenment of a terrifying bandit to the modern hum of India's largest sugar mills. Which leaves us with one final thought. Will this incredible home of ancient spiritual enlightenment and massive modern industry find a way to rewrite its demographic destiny? Can it lift its rural farmers and women into a brighter future? It is a remarkable paradox of a district, and one that is absolutely worth watching. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking those tough questions, keep digging into the data, and as always, stay curious.